Good morning, guys. So before I start the video, I don't think I've properly introduced myself in any of the videos. So I am Oraneku Gabriel Ekene. I am a student in Unizik, Nigeria, Africa. So I am a Flutter developer. I develop mobile applications. I would call myself a senior developer because I know I have good experience in mobile application development. I work with a company, Vigo Place, and then I also freelance, you know, just to keep up with the, just to keep up. So that is me. That is me. So in my spare time, I do make YouTube videos. And this is one of the videos that so I just want to quickly demonstrate what I did. I already pushed the codes to GitHub, so I just want to explain because a lot of persons they don't understand and they are confused. So I will just go over. So just like the last time, someone brought this up in a group where I belong and asked if anybody could make something like this or could help out with this particular UI. So I was like, I can do this. I decided to give it a try. It was very, very difficult initially to, calculate some things, but with time, just before you know it, I was able to get the hang of it. So I'm going to take you through step by step how I was able to achieve this. So this is my own code. So this is what I did. When you move from here, you just get what you want and it follows. So very simple, very basic stuff. So this is what we are going to try to recreate here in this video. So I'm going to start off with I'm going to rename this folder. Okay, I'm going to rename this folder main 22, and then I'm going to rename this one to main. So this is going to be my main.dat, right? So if I reload, okay. Okay, no. I think I missed it. This is supposed. Okay, no. Let me rename this one. I just don't want to lose the file in case I need to reference something. So this is my main. I think we are good to go. What is happening? I am modeling all these things up. Wait, I need to understand what is happening and why it is happening. Good. I think I've successfully done it. So this is your normal counter application. So I'm going to change this counter application to what we need. So first off, I'm going to start with I'm going to have to remove all these things because we don't actually need them. Then I'm going to remove all these comments because we don't need them. So I will remove this. Remove. Okay, so this is what I have for now. All right, so I just have a column, and then I would say the main ASIC size is equal to main ASIC size dot main. So inside here I'm going to have a slider dot adaptive. So the value is going to be let's say 10, and then the unchanged function. So this is it, right? Okay, the value, let's make it 1. Good. So main as this, I think we can still wrap this in the center just to put it in the middle. Good. So this is what we have for now, right? But you can see that our slider doesn't move. So to take care of this, just the normal basic stuffs in your to make your slider. So we're going to have a set state, a state. This is already a stateful widget. So we're going to have a state variable, which is going to be double, let's say double value. Okay, let's call it value and set it to equal to 1. So this value is going to be this value, and then when on the unchanged we'll have something like a set state, and then we are going to have value that value is equal to val, something like this. I'm going to convert it to an expression instead so it will look nice. So with this, you can see our slider is now sliding. So this is the first stage. But if you look at this UI, this is the one I'm trying to recreate. This one with months. So this is 1 here and 12 months here. So it means that we have, if you look at the properties in the parameters in this slider, you will see that there is a minimum and there is a maximum. So it means that if our minimum is something like 1, then our maximum is something like 12. You get? So we have something like this. Okay, so it means down that our maximum here is 12, our minimum here is 1. So but I want this thing to be much more flexible. So in order to do that, I'm going to generate a list of numbers. So I will say list of int. I will call it months is equal to list dot generate. I would say there will be 12, and then it's going to be index plus equals 1. Good. So as I have these, if I go ahead and print, if I just go ahead and print this months inside this bracket, you will see that it is a list of numbers from 1 to 12. So here I can easily say months dot first dot to double, because it actually takes a double. Then here I will say months dot length, or you can still say last dot to double. Good. If you go with last, if you go with, they are all the same thing. So we basically did the same thing. The only difference there is that this is much more responsive. So if I decide to increase this to 15, it will be able to adapt to it. So that is why I did not statically add it. So for the next stuff, we are looking at this widget here. So this is going to be like a hover, something that will be following this thumb around. Okay, that's what we want next. And I think this column is just perfect, because if I can just get something to stay above and follow this thumb around, then we'll be able to achieve this. So the next thing I need to do is to have a sized box. I think I'll give it a width of 120 and give it a height of say 40. Okay, so this is going to give me something close to this. So in this size box, I actually want to paint. Let me just demonstrate what I mean. So we have something like this. This is our slider with the thumb, and this is it. So we have something that hovers on top of this slider. Okay, and it follows it everywhere. So what I need to do is to be able to paint this square here. There is no widget that looks like this, so I just have to go ahead and paint it. So to do that, I have to use custom paint. So for my child, I will use a custom paint. Then for the painter, I will use a, let me call it hover box. Hover box. Okay, so we are going to create this hover box. We say class hover box. Let it extend custom painter. Custom painter. So we are going to create the two override functions. So let's set this to true. We'll set this to true, and then here we'll just leave it out for now. So this is the custom painter, right? Okay, so now we are going to try to paint this particular thing. So first off, I'm going to paint a rectangle, then I will start modifying. So if you look at the custom, you know already our let me use a brush. No, this is bad. Let me use a calligraphy. So already, pen is good. Already we have given this custom paint a size box. That means we've restricted the size. So we are going to assume that our size box is something like this. So from here to here is 120, right? From here to here is 120, and then from here to here is what did you say? The height is 40. So from here to here is what? 40. Good. Now in Flutter, this point is 0, 0. So this is our 0, 0. Now if you move down, this is going to be our 0, 40. I can't type. So this is going to be 0, 40. Here is going to be 120, 120, 40. You get the gist. So here is going to be 120, 40, and then this side is going to be 40, 40, 0, 0. Okay, so that is how the Flutter widget paint works. So this is 0, 0. This is 0, 40. Here is 120, 40, and here is 40, 0. So let's imagine that we just want to paint a rectangle, just a rectangle. So if we come to this our custom paint, let's call our paint. So we'll say var paint is equal to paint. Good. Then the second thing is we need our path. We also say var path is equal to path. Good. So the next thing is I like to do is I say canvas does draw path. So to take a paint and a path. So this is looking very nice. Now let's give our paint some decoration. So for the color, we'll say let it be equal to colors.blue. Okay. For the style, let's give it painting style dot fill. Okay, I think these two are good. Now but if you observe, there's nothing really happening. We are not seeing anything. So what we need to do is, why we are not seeing anything is because our path is still at 0, 0. So we need to move from 0, 0 towards 0, 40. So if I do path dot line to 0, 40, something like this, it means that I've drawn this first line here. Okay, I've gone from 0, 0 where the path is originally at, and I've gone down to 0, 40. Now if I go again, I say line path dot line to 120 comma 120 comma 40. So what it means is that from this point I've moved down to 0 comma 40, and from here I've moved to 120 comma 40. So that is why we are seeing something like this. Now if I also go ahead and say path dot line to 120 comma 0, like you would imagine, I've moved from this point where I am up to this place. So I'm now here. Now if I watch what will happen if I do this, you see that this is just a stroke. So that is why I use fill, so that it will fill up the space. Then the next thing I like to do is to close, path dot close. So this ensures that it closes. You may not see any significant difference, but if I'm using a stroke, you will notice that the line actually closed, other different from when I didn't have this close here. You can see that here is open, but when I put the close, you can see it closes it. So let me put it back to fill, so you can see the rectangle, right? This is the rectangle here. Perfect. Perfect. We've almost gotten what we need. So we've drawn the rectangle. We've drawn the rectangle just like we wanted to, but we don't have this small triangle here, and we need to find a way to have it. Okay, so for that triangle, you will notice that that triangle is something like this, just that. So let me redraw everything so it will be much more neat. Good. So let me change my pen to a pencil. So we already have a rectangle that is looking like this, right? We already have a rectangle that is looking like this. So the next thing we need to do is to put kind of a triangle here. Now remember that we went from here to here, from here to this point, to this point, and we closed, and that was how we were able to form our rectangle. Now since we want to add a bit of triangle here, what it actually means is that we'll move from here down, we'll go here, we'll stop, we'll come down again, go up, go like this, go up, and then close. So this is the journey we have to take to achieve this. Now how do we do this? Let's say that we have from here to here. If this is the center of this rectangle, you will realize that this is like, let's say, five 5 points away from the center and 5 points after the center. So from this point to this point will be like 5. Okay, that means if you have something like from here to here, so this is also like 5, right? So this is what we are going to write in our code. Now before I forget, I would like to say something. So instead of using this 40 statically, I'm going to use size dot height. Now the reason for using size dot height is because somehow when you constrain your custom paint to a height and a width, it becomes this size that is passed here. So instead of writing 40 statically, I can decide to write size dot height, so that even if I decide to increase this height to something like 60, you see, it becomes much more dynamic to such changes. So let me just quickly fix this. Size dot height, this one becomes size dot width, this is size dot width. Good. You see, so even if I come here and change this to 20, everything just shapes normally. If I decide to come here and change this to 200, you see, everything just aligns properly. So that is the reason for using those dynamic values instead of hard coding them. Now back to making our triangle. Remember that we want to make this triangle here to come out, and we've already divided this rectangle into half. So meaning that from this point to this point is 5 points away from the center. So this line of code is the one that goes from here to here, so we don't have any problems. This other line of code is the one that goes from here to this point, and that is where we need to modify. So instead of going from here to the extreme, we have to go from here to somewhere here and stop. So what we can do is, instead of going size dot width, which is the total length of this width, we will go size dot width over 2 minus 5. Now remember that this is, if I divide this thing to 2, from here to here becomes size dot width over 2, and then we are stopping 5 points before it. You understand? So that is why I did the minus 5, which is this. And then for the height too, I would want to make a tweak. So I would just assume that the total length of the box is something like this, so that from the height of the box, I'm going to subtract the height of this triangle inside here. Okay, so this size dot height, I'm going to subtract like 8 from it. Okay, so we have something like this. Now we already at this point, we need to move from here down to this place. So how do we do it? We'll do path dot line to. Remember, we want to go from here to the center of the box, so we'll do size dot width over 2, and then the height is going to be size dot height. Okay, you see we've gotten to this height, so we need to move from here to somewhere here again. So we are moving from this point down to this point. So how do we do it? We go again, path dot line to. We are moving from where we are to size dot width over 2 plus 5. So we are moving size dot width over 2 plus 5, and then the size will be size dot height minus 8. I think I'm missing something. So this is supposed to be minus 8. Good. You see our shape is forming. So we've gotten to this point. The next thing is to move from this point down to this place. So how do we do that? We just go from path dot line to, we are moving to size dot width, and then we are moving to size dot height minus 8. Good. You see, we've already gotten what we need, which is this. Maybe I should make this 8. Let me make it like 10, so that it will be much more bigger. Good. So you see, we've gotten something almost good. So we've drawn something like this in just few seconds. So looking at it, you see we're almost achieving what we want, which is this shape. I know it's not perfect, but we'll try as much as possible to make it look perfect. So we already have this, right? So even this minus 5, let's try and adjust it to something like 8. So it will be more wider at the base. Good. I think this is good. This is looking very good. So if you look at what we have now, you will notice that they are sharp. They are sharp edges. But if you look at the image, this is a bit curved. So we'll try to achieve this curve as it is. So how do we achieve this curve? By using something called a quadratic bezier. So I would just redo all these things. So let's say I have something like this, right? If I have something like this, an edge, a pointed edge, and I want to curve around it like this. So all I need to do is I will stop my line somewhere here. Then the quadratic bezier takes 2 points, the turning point and the final point. So I will just stop my line somewhere here. Then I will specify my turning point and I will specify my final point. So automatically it is going to give that particular rectangle a particular curve. The same thing for something like this. So if I have something like this and I want it to be curved, so I'll stop my line to somewhere here, and then I will specify my turning point here, and then where I want to head to here. So automatically when the line is moving, it will now curve and have something like a curve like this. And that's what we are going to do in our code to remove all this steepness. So the first thing is, let me also demonstrate the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, if you remember, our code started like this, right? This is what we have so far. This is exactly what we painted. Good. But since we want to curve each of these points, we want them to be curved. We want each of these points to be curved. Let me just give them some kind. We want each of these points to be curved, right? So what we can do is instead of starting this from 0, 0, we will shift a bit and start it from somewhere here, so that our line will start moving from here instead of from the initial point 0, 0. So it won't be a sharp point, so that the curve will actually be something like this. You understand? So it will be something like this with curves and everything. Good. So these curves means that we are going to start from somewhere instead of starting from this tip. So to achieve that, we are going to move our path. We are going to do path.move to. So we are going to move to something like 0, let our curve be 5. So we've moved down a bit. So if you look at the code, you will see that it did not start from that original point where it was before. It have moved down a bit. So we'll start from here, get to somewhere here, turn, just like that. We'll continue. So we've already started. Now the second thing is, so if you realize, if you're observing what I'm doing, you will notice that I've started from something like this. So the next thing is to curve this point to something like this. So instead of having this size or width height minus 10, I will have something like minus 5, because remember, okay, not here, sorry, not here, like here, minus 5. Because remember, if I want to turn here, I'm going to stop somewhere here so that I can turn with my quadratic bezier. So what I need to do now is I will say path dot quadratic bezier. So this point is 0. This is size dot height minus 10. Then this point is 5, and this point is still this. So you will notice the bit of curve. You can notice the curve around. So if I want it to be much more steep, I can increase this to 8, so that you will notice the curve well. You can see it's much curved. If you look well at this shape, you will see that it is much curved than what we had. So what I did was I stopped somewhere here, put in my 2 points for the quadratic bezier, the turning point and the final destination, so that this our line will just curve like this. So it means that we have achieved something like this. Good. Now the next line, this line is the one that actually moved to this point, so we don't have any problems here. The next place we need to worry about is to curve here. So we'll need to go to where this line reached the edge. So that is this point, and then we are going to subtract 8 from it. And the reason why we are subtracting 8 is so that when we reach to something like this, instead of having a straight line, we'll stop somewhere here and then curve. The same logic. So we'll go from here, stop somewhere here and curve. So that is why I stopped at plus, this should be minus 8, right? Yeah, this is minus 8. So the next thing I need to do is path dot quadratic base here. I want it to be size dot width, then the height is size dot height minus 10. Then the x-axis for the final destination is still going to be size dot width, and then the y-axis for the final height is going to be size dot height minus 10 minus 8. So you can see the curve there. You can see the curve at this point. So this place has already curved. So basically, instead of having, let me explain again, instead of having something steep like this, what I basically did was stop somewhere here and then I curve. So I'm heading up. So the next thing is that you have something like this, right? Now instead of reaching the tip of this, I will stop somewhere here and I'm going to curve so that it will have a curve like this. So the point where it happened is this place. So I just need to say stop at where? Stop at 8. Good, you can see that. Then I need to now turn path dot quadratic base here, size dot width. I want to move to 0, and then size dot width minus 8. I want to move to 0. Good. So you will notice that curve here too. So following the same principle, I'll do path dot line 2. I want to stop somewhere 8, 0. So it will stop just before this place. You can see the small mark that is remaining for our curve. So following the same principle, I have just turned here and I've headed, and I've turned, made the border here, and I'm headed for this place. But this place is something like this. So I just need to do a quadratic base here that will complete the roundness. So I'll do path dot quadratic base here. I want to go to 0, 0. This is going to be 0, 8. Good. So you can see that I've completed it. You can see that our stuff is no longer looking rounded, but it's no longer looking straight, but it's now a bit more round, like the picture that we are trying to create. Something like this, a bit rounded. You can see that. So we've painted and it is looking very good. So the next thing we need to do is to find a way to position this triangle on top. Now I found a trick around it. I will just demonstrate. So let's pad it symmetrically. We'll pad horizontally and pad it 20. Good. So if you look at this, it looks like we've not done much, but when I wrap this in a stack, let me wrap it in a column so that I can change this name to stack, and then I will do position dot fill just for it to occupy the whole space in the stack. Okay, looks like I haven't done much. So now at this point, if I, let me just demonstrate something to you. If I put this in an align and set the alignment to -1, 0, something like this, did you notice something? So you would see that if this my stuff is at 0, I think, is it too big? Let me see. Yeah, I think 8 is perfect. 8 is perfect. So the idea is that this is, when it is at 0, this is directly on top. So the idea is that while I'm moving this, it is supposed to be following it around. So meaning that if I'm doing like different, let's say I put here 0, you will see that this is moving around. But you can't expect somebody to be moving, to come to the code and be doing this. So we need to find a way We need to find a way to make this move with this sliding of the slider. We need to find a way to do it, but before that, let's also look at how we add this text that says 6 months. So because we have this tag, I can put a text inside here and say 1 month, okay, and style it. Let me style it and give it a text style, give it a colors dot white, and then give it a font weight dot 500, give it a font size font size font size of let's say 25. 25 is looking too big. Let's say 20. 20 is too big. Let's just remove the font size. Good. Now if I center this stuff, if I center it, you will see it's a bit off. So let me just use an align and find a perfect position. So if I do align, I set this to something like -1 0, or rather the x-axis is good, so 0. So I need to work on this place. -1 is too big. -2, okay, -1, 0.5. Good. So we have something very, very good now. Okay, so you can see that it is somewhere in the center. So now the next thing is, this is looking good, this is looking very good. Okay, so but the issue we have now is that when you move around, it is not moving along with it, and it is a problem. So how do we solve that problem? And this was the place that gave me a bit of a headache. So what I did was I just simply found the relationship. Now if you observe this, you notice that -1, this is the alignment that is controlling this our custom paint. -1 keeps it somewhere at the far end where this is equal to 1. Now if I put it at 0, you will see that it puts it where this is half of this slider. Then if I put it at 1, you see that it puts it at the extreme. So this is like -1, 0, and 1. So we just need to find a relationship such that when input is equal to 1, let the output be equal to what? -1, right? This is the relationship we need. And also we also want, when the input is equal to 12, let the output be what? 1. This is this kind of relationship we need. So what I did was I went to chat GPT and I just asked it this question, because I tried to figure out the relationship but I couldn't. So I just went to chat GPT. I asked it this question. I said, let me just quickly clear conversations. Good. So I just said, find the relationship, the linear. Okay, I have a puzzle. When x is equal to 1, output, that's y is equal to -1, and when x is equal to 12, y is equal to 1. Find the mathematical relationship. So this is what I just did, and straight up it gave me exactly what I needed. So it gave me the final formula for getting it. So this is what I have. So this is the linear equation for both of these. So if I go ahead and say get left alignment, okay, I do this function and I go ahead and return this. Remember that the x is simply our month, abi the x is simply our value, rather the x is our value. So this is just what I need. So I will come here and put this stuff. So this get alignment should be a double. Let's tell it that it is a double so that it knows that it is a double. So when I slide, you can see that it is now moving along with it. You see, it's just moving along with it because of this relationship between them. Okay, so now after this, but you notice that the text is not changing with the sliding. So what I can do here is I can do something like this. I can do something like this. I would say value dot to int. So it's no longer going to be const. So when I move, you see it updates. And then I want, instead of saying, because this is months, you look at the drawing, this is months, but one. So I will say, I will do something like this too. I will say value is equal to 1. Let it not have anything else, let it have s. Good. Then I will make this const. So when I move, when it is at 1 month, it's just 1 month. Then subsequently, did I add too much space? I think I did. So you see 2 months, 3 months, 12 months. So I can go up and down, back and forth, and everything is perfect. So that is it, guys. I hope you learned a lot from this video. So I will end this video here. If you have any question, I'm not always available. I will apologize. But if I get the time and I see your question, I will definitely answer it. Bye.